This episode of the Operatory podcast is brought to you by HungryDino.com. In less than 3 minutes, you can find out what outdated policies, procedures, and technology you are using and how much it is costing you. Take the quick survey at HungryDino.com. Welcome to the Operatory podcast, the podcast about burying the dinosaurs in dentistry, moving past outdated technology and procedures to find a better way. With me today, providing the patient perspective, is my man, David Pryor. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Brian. How are you today?
I am doing well. The weather in Minnesota is going from the north of Westeros to springtime now, so it really changes the perspective.
Summer is coming.
Summer's coming. I like that. That's going to be my family. What is the motto? Sigil, whatever it is. Yeah. Summer's coming. There will be no long summer here, though. However,
No.
Well, today, my friend, we're going to be talking about a topic that you, I think, know quite a bit about.
All right.
It's about HIPAA.
Oh, I do. I just passed my HIPAA certification.
Nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Yeah. Well, how was that? Was that difficult? Was it painful? Did it hurt?
No, you get a lot of the same thing. Like, I worked in telecommunications industry for a decade selling telecommunication services, and there's a lot of privacy stuff that goes with that. So everything that they were talking about in the HIPAA training made sense. And
so I'm going to translate to our audience. Dave's a nerd, like me.
Oh,
so he doesn't mind HIPAA.
no.
Right?
No.
But most of us in dentistry, it's like this weird beast that needs to be looked at once a year, and then we try to ignore it as much as humanly possible for the rest of the year, right?
Well, like, as a patient, I'm very into what HIPAA's trying to do, which is create a bunch of privacy around what I've got going on. So, while, yeah, I know it's a hassle it was a hassle for me in telecommunications, it's a hassle for me in dentistry, but I absolutely value what its intent is.
Yeah. And what I wanted to get at today is that while HIPAA is there's a lot of mystery surrounding it because it's, things change a lot. There's always new technology, and that kind of, once you learn something, the game kind of changes. That it actually makes our jobs better.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot on this podcast about, for example, digital forms.
Yeah.
Right? That's one way that I would say it totally makes the job of delivering dentistry, and particularly like at the front desk or in the back if you're using like a clipboard or something, it's just ridiculous. And while paper can be HIPAA compliant or can be not HIPAA compliant, there's just a lot that we can do to add to the practice in addition to just performing security. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that if we're talking about removing paper from the practice, then it's more than just meeting HIPAA standards. You're creating an ease of use for not only the practice but the patients. I mean, when I'm talking to people about our forms, the first thing that I bring up is the fact that you're telling patients to come in 15 minutes early and they show up 5 minutes late, and now you're set back 20 minutes. It's a big deal to be able to. I mean, with our forms, I'm saving a practice 20 minutes regularly on being able to just get the forms in front of the patient at home.
Well, and from the patient perspective, you just sit there, you do it on your phone while you're in the grocery store, and then all that information gets written directly into your practice management system, right?
Yeah.
And then when you pull it up, it's just there. And also the forms, let's face it, lots of practice management systems. I might blow your mind here, Dave. Are you ready?
What?
Their user experience, their UI, UX, as we could say in technology, not the most pretty. No, right? No. And so what if I could send you that user experience where it's like a gray box on a gray field with black text, right? how are you going to feel? Oh boy, I'm glad my dental practice is from 1984, right?
Yeah, there's a lot that I see.
They're designed by
right.
software designers,
right. They're designed by engineers. They're just trying to accomplish the end goal and not looking at the user experience, and that user being the practice. I see a lot of opportunity for improvement, as we say.
And it's
sales.
easy when you send a text message with a beautiful form that you can do with the same information that gets written back, and then you see that practice management system the way you're used to seeing it, right? And so there's many ways where HIPAA, I believe, just makes things better. Another example, communicating between dentists and provider and specialists. Yeah. I just worked with an oral surgeon on a case. And we have a sort of living document, so to speak, living in the cloud, where this patient, I looked at his CT scan. I went, I don't know how, but I know this surgeon will be able to do implants and fixed retainers. So not no dentures that have to come in and out. It'll be fixed in place. Yep. And he has like zero bone, and I sent it off to the oral surgeon. The oral surgeon wrote back and said how just by basically putting implants in the chin and rebuilding it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, because this was the second oral surgeon that I sent his data to. Yeah. And we could have this collaborative conversation digitally versus, he's a busy guy, I'm a busy guy, having to do the phone call thing, and there's the living document where it's all kept there. So if I need to refer back to and say, where are we placing implants, or where's the dentist, the surgeon placing implants, it's all right there all the time. Yeah. Way better than if we had done it the old fashioned way with phone calls and chart notes and all that stuff. And all the information gets imported in the practice management system anyway. Yeah. So there's the advantages of the old way with all sorts of advantages of doing it, and the only reason why all of this is available is because of HIPAA compliance and needing to keep this information secure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, being able to, that ultimately that's the point of HIPAA, is creating an easy way for you to share information amongst the medical community without violating the patient's privacy. That ultimately that's what they're trying to accomplish, right? And so we all want to be able to email information back and forth amongst our colleagues, our patients. We want to be able to get that information across, but we don't want to disclose information that might be sensitive. Mm-hmm. And so I know from working at Opera DDS, that's what we're always trying to relay to prospective customers, is that this is important, and it's meant to make it a lot easier for you than sending a patient out the door with a bunch of X-rays, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is something that makes it easier, but also covers the patient from getting exposed to disclosing something they don't want disclosed.
Completely, and I can give a real world example from a totally different industry where this has personally benefited me in the last week, and it's financial planning. Okay. Yep. I hate financial planning. I shouldn't say I hate financial planners. That's like saying you hate dentists, right? That's right. But I've had bad experiences in the past where, it's basically, they're just like, the financial planner was a means to sell mutual funds, right? Yeah. And now through a friend, I met this group that's great. Yeah. And they got it going on, just like some dental practices have it going on, right? And they listen to you like some practices listen to you, and then when they communicate with me, they do it securely, and that security, now I have this plan that lives in the cloud where I can look at stuff all the time. Versus if they had sent me some pieces of paper in the mail, or if they had sent it to me through email, I would have been pissed, right? Because I know what happens, right? Having developed Opera DDS and security, what happens in traditional email. Yeah. So word of caution: if your accountant is sending you stuff through traditional email, have them sign up for OperaDDS too, or they should have their own. And that's why we've kind of modeled how OperaDDS's secure email works, very similar to the way most banks systems work.
Yeah.
And and now being on the other end of this sort of financial plan where it all lives in the cloud, I can say with confidence that from your perspective as a patient, my perspective as a client of this financial planning group. When I first got it, you have to log in here. You get that sort of like another login, right?
Right.
But we use LastPass and Google. I mean, passwords are so easy now that they automatically fill out on the devices you always use, and then it always sits there in a secure place. And if I don't put it on my computer, then it's going to be in the most secure place possible, which is in the big server farm where like in our case, IBM Cloud has that very secure place, which protects your data, my data, everybody's data,
right.
And also makes it, just from day-to-day usage, it actually makes it easier.
Yeah, yeah. And if you, I've been in data centers and looked at data center security walls before.
Nerd.
Yes. And just the amount of security intrusion that they're preventing on a just constant basis is amazing to watch.
More secure than your laptop? It's just sitting there?
Much, much more secure than your laptop that's just sitting there. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, you bet. Have a good one.
You too. I also want to remind you to rate and review us wherever you're listening to this podcast. If you have suggestions or comments, please visit theoperatory.com and drop us a line. Again, I'm Dr. Brian Laskin, host of The Operatory. Thanks for listening. I look forward to speaking with you next week.